Hope that the music plays.
Because last time it didn't play it.
No, it did. It's just this particular track was being a bit finicky, so we'll see. Yep.
That music, so much good time. That's right. It's making me remember so much things from and like
Yeah,
I can't wait for Bannerlord.
we're gonna have to use this one. 'Cause this one actually works. There we go. That one, yeah, for whatever reason, that one, the butterflies one wasn't working. Alright. On the road, the company takes up camp. Draken sees Margo Blackmouth, a fellow Gutterblade and now widow of their comrade Old Gutbub. Though her face is stoic, her eyes betray sadness and rage. And just for context of when this would be going on, um, this would be on the way back.
Yeah, to Aldorf.
Yeah, no, not well. Yeah, we could do Altdorf or back to
The
Grunberg. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Uh, let's just be at
well,
camp at some point.
well, Dracun, what he will do, well, he go like take 2 cup of beer if there's like any ale at camp.
Oh yeah, you guys are mercenaries. You guys got beer and shit. Absolutely.
Yeah, so well, I will go like take 2 cup of ale and I will go to see Margo and I will like and or one of the cup.
She's sort of staring across the camp at a specific tent, but she sees you kind of walk up and takes it absent-mindedly and thank you, dwarf, and starts drinking out of it.
Or how are you all gonna?
About as good as can be expected with me old husband dead. And she just sort of looks down at the dirt.
I'm sure he was a good man that worked hard all his life and did everything for for you and for us too. It's sad that some people don't think the same as we do. And, we should we should like remember what he did. If you if it wasn't for him, maybe like one of the bandits could have attacked me behind my back. Uh, it's not often that I admit it, but I think he probably like saved my life.
And she smiles. And she's called Margo Blackmouth for a reason. She's got some pretty gnarly dental hygiene in there, black teeth, missing teeth, and she sort of smiles and laughs. And Gutbub, he was an old lecher. I'm bloody half his age, you know that. He lucked out, but he was a good man. He was a hard worker. Even when the farms were just dying of blight crops, he kept trying to make it work. Found this for us. Even though it's not the best of situations, made the most of them. I don't know, maybe Gutbub did save you. Maybe he was trying to. Maybe he was just trying to fight for his own life or for me. But he was a good man, 'tis true. And it is a shame that some don't think the same.
Don't let her word get you. She's a noble, so it's normal that shot like this to us because it's how she grew up.
Ain't nobody nobles here. We all the same here. That's exactly what Captain said. The old Captain said. Don't know about this new Captain, but the old Captain.
Mm.
We're all the same. She got no right talking about us folk like that. We're all the same. And I intend to show her what I think of those words. Someday very soon.
If I think what the captain word is that we don't fight each other. Even if we hate each other, we must stay like, together, shoulder and shoulder. Because everyone knows war can be fought alone. We always need someone beside us.
She ain't fighting beside us. She ain't like she's above us, better than us. She's no better than us. She was born better than us, that's it. She spits on the ground. Says, oh, I wouldn't kill her. Maybe just cut up that pretty face a bit. She doesn't need a pretty face to fight, does she? I can fight, and she smiles. She's got a bunch of black teeth in her mouth. I know I'm not pretty.
What is your experience with the sword? Did you fight a lot, or?
Oh, scraps here and there. Before I joined the company, anyway. Had to chase off a few wolves once from the house. Gutbub was sleeping, drunk. Did pretty well.
Well, Dragoon will drink like all of his ale in one shot, and we'll look at Margo and say, "Are you going to stay in the company?"
Got nothing else to go home to. Gutbub was the farmer. I just cooked, cleaned. Got no other prospects. Supposing I'll stay here.
Then,
Besides, I got scores to settle.
then we both know that all the other members wouldn't care about you, like, or even care if you die. But me, you're one of my sister in arms, and if you wish, I could train you.
Well, the sister thinks she kind of looks at you awkward. She says, "Sister, we ain't kin." And then she kind of laughs about that, but...
Well, no, well, Raccoon would smile. I'm used to it. Well, like you said, we are all the same. If we're like a big family, if I can say. Like the Gutter Blade is now our home, and we fight and defend the price of our life.
I...
At least that's what my father taught me.
Your father was a good man, teaching you to trust others of your station. We're all we got in this bloody world. As far as training, if you think you know a few things you could show me, I'd appreciate it.
Like, do you have other thing than your dagger?
Well, I had a knife in me hand since I was 4, so this is what I'm most comfortable with.
We'll teach you how to use a sword and a shield.
Alright, so you guys have got swords and shit. You're gonna spar with her now, or what?
Well, does she want like to spar? It would be like would help her like stress out and let her rage come out during the training.
Yeah, you guys can spar right now if you want. I can.
Yeah, we'll spar with her.
Yeah, I won't do a whole bunch of battlefield movement stuff. It'll just be attacks against each other, and any kind of wounds that get inflicted, it won't count. Because this is a spar, right? I mean, you guys aren't trying to kill each other. So you want her to use a sword and shield, all right? Let's give her a hand weapon.
We need like no, I know how the sword works. So.
Defensive. Alright. So yeah, if you want to roll up initiative, we could see which one of you goes first. And are you using your axe, or what do you use, or your flail, or what are you using to fight her with?
Well, for first I would be using the same equipment as her, like to come to teach her some basic to use her weapon in efficient way.
Hmm. Yeah. So with swords and hand weapons, it's just straight up. Um, yeah, you got it. All right.
For
I got a clear initiative for before. Here we go. Let me get him out of there. All right. Yes, she's gonna go first, and she'll aim and swing at you. Starting off pretty good.
to say again.
Oh, that's I rolled dagger. Whoops. Let's roll the actual hand weapon this time. That's better. Oh.
Now, the first lesson I will teach you: never overestimate your opponent or underestimate them. They could be like the same bandit that we fought with. Like they were like curious, unexperienced, and you see how it happened at the end. Some of us die, and even the captain die.
And she tries to swing, then you pair it with the shield. She's like, oof, I thought for sure that would hit ya. So now she'll try to parry with her shield. Go ahead and do your damage. And that was to the left arm, so 9. Solid blunt strike on the left arm. She kind of reels back. She's like, how'd you do that? I thought I had my shield ready.
Well, your shield could be hard to raise in like predict how the day would come. That's why the best way, if you're not sure the experience of your opponent, stand in a defensive way. So when he will attack you, you will have a more chance to block it or dodge it since you will be ready to move.
And she's sort of.
Like I did with Sigmar, with his armor. I didn't know how it would hurt me, or even like if you will be able like to crush my head. That's why I stay in a barrier stance to be able to at least block most of the swing.
And so she like takes note of the stance that you just had when you parried her attack, and she, you see her trying to mimic it this time. She's going to swing at you, and then she's going to assume a parry stance. Even though she doesn't have to with the shield, but yeah. Just in case she wouldn't have one. And she misses you, but she's going to go into parry stance even though she doesn't have to. Trying to mimic. And she's like, alright, now I got you. And she's going to, I believe there is an all-out attack That it gives you plus 20, but you can't do any
Yeah,
parries.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is something she's done before and thinks it's gonna work. So, but she cannot parry now.
Mm, yeah, no, like when she attacked me, since well, I slowly like lean backward because since she's not like she doesn't have the habit to use a sword, and when I will strike back, I would say at the same time first mistake.
And that will defeat her. So how do you defeat Margo?
Well, when she swung at me, since she had her body like forward, so her leg was defenseless. I just leaned backward, and I would like make it like a 360 and hit her left leg with the blade side of the sword, not the you know
Yeah, not the edge. Yeah, you just you
yeah,
blade side her and hit her with like sort of the just blunt force, and it knocks her over pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah. So you knock her over, and she tumbles to the ground and loses her sword, and she's like, oof. She kind of shakes her head and dusts herself off, and is like, I thought for sure I had you that time.
Hmm. Like I said, don't overestimate yourself. You're not invincible, and with no armor on you, you can pretty much get killed if one arrow or a blade gets you real good. And your mistake that you did, it's you completely put down your defense. So it was easy for me to hit the place that your shield wasn't there. And when you're not sure if you're going to hit, or even if it's the start of the combat, never go full head.
It's like she's sort of following every word, and nodding, and she's like, "Oh, about that armor though, I just never find any that can fit me." And she's looking down at her chest. She's like, "This never fits. It's uncomfortable."
Mm. Well, later I will have a talk with the captain, and I will like propose him because if gather enough gold and we could buy a forgery with all the enemy we would defeat, their weapon and armor, I could melt them and make some armor for you. So I will be able to make an armor fit for you.
It's like, "Oh, so you were a blacksmith before you joined, huh?"
No, my father was a blacksmith. He taught me everything you know, and like the dumb son I was, I preferred to go into the pit fight.
I figured you had some sort of combat experience when you was fighting that big man. Only saw it a couple times because I was struggling with that bastard back. I heard lots of good things about dwarfen crafts, though.
Yeah, well, I don't want like to. Mm, wait a second. I don't want to praise the dwarf, but with all with every decenny that pass every year, we keep our knowledge to the future population, and the dwarf have a crafting style called the rune that my father told me, and the rune is like some magic may like put into a mark that could like fit our armor or sword, and the, and they could make fire with their sword, or even have a stronger armor, or even run faster.
And her eyes get wide at that because you're talking about magic. It's like, ooh, magics. Been suspicious of magics, but that dwarven magic sounds like it's just bound to the swords. You think you got a sword that could turn people into frogs?
Maybe there is one, but that would be funny if when in a war that you could turn all the enemy army into frog and just step on them.
Yeah, I wants me a sword that can turn people into frogs.
But my father said that the rune is something that not everybody can wear. Even the dwarf, the most high class dwarf, need to do something special to earn a rune. Like the weapon that the elector count of the emperor have, they all bear one mark, a rune that the dwarf made for the empire.
So all the elector counts got special swords, and she's kind of like scratching her head at that because I mean, most average peasant does not know that at all. So you're blowing her mind right now. She has no idea.
Well, yes, yeah, but sometimes the mark is invisible, or maybe it's not a weapon they have the mark, but armor or shield. It depends on what the emperor, well, the last emperor did, well, and asked to the dwarf.
She's just listening pretty much wide-eyed to all this stuff because this is magic stuff's scary, but it's usually scary, but to some peasants it can be interesting because it's magic's magic. I mean, you can do some crazy shit with magic.
Do you know the dwarf god Grimnir?
No, she shakes her head. She has no clue.
And do you know who Scorn is? The god of blood and
Uh, no, shakes her head. No, doesn't have any clue.
Scorn is one of the dark god of this world. One of the chaos god. And
And she
Grimnir,
at that she puts her hands over her mouth and then covers her ears and starts shaking her head. It's like, no, don't need to hear no more of that. Don't need to hear about that.
okay, I won't say nothing more, but Grimnir became a god when when the Chaos Army attacked the Empire. Grimnir went there with well, his bodyguard, and he fought for 2 weeks or even 3 weeks non-stop. And at the end, his armor was completely shattered, and he started to put rune on himself, like tattoos of his god, and he went to confront Chaos God himself, where torch naked and two axes in his hand, and he did defeat the Chaos God. Even and some say that one of his acts that he wielded during that fight is at the end of the High Dwarf King at the moment.
So she follows along with all that, and at the chaos part, she sort of covers her ears again. But you tell some good tales, dwarf, even though they could be tall, and she just sort of nudges you with that. And but yeah, I mean, you guys can spar again, or you can continue teaching her about stuff. I mean, it's up to you. But yeah, so let's see. Was there anything else you wanted to do in this?
Not really, just dog and spare.
Alright, yeah. So
Oh,
because I was gonna try to keep the scenes kind of 30 minutes to an hour short. If you want to keep going, we're good. I mean.
yeah, well, I'm gonna keep going. Like, Well, Dragoon will drink the rest of his ale and will come to sit beside Margo and would ask you, what did you do during your childhood?
She's like, "Oh, you're asking about years long since past. I was didn't do a whole lot." And she was, sort of thinking back, sort of scratching her head. I was raised in town, not far from Grunberg. Uh, lived among a family, big family, 14 children. About half of us didn't make it through the winters as years went on, but that just happens. And after that, I was working at a tavern for about 10 years uh, before I met good old Gut Bub. He's twice my age, you know.
And I was he back then.
Oh, about the same as he was now. Bit bigger, not so scrawny, not so old. But I swept me up off my feet, took me out to his farm, and old Gub had a good old farm for a while before, before raids and corrupt and dirty officials and all that. Married to him for 10 years. Took my best years from me, he did. And she sort of smiles about it. But old Gutba, we lost the farm to blight.
When we're at 20 or 30 years old. And for an adult, it's at 60 or 70 years old. And to be an old man, it's at 100 or 200. And during my childhood, I was born in Marienburg with well, I didn't really know my mother, and I didn't even saw her once. The only thing that I have of her is this, and Dracundo like take the necklace out of his armor and like show it to Margo, and the necklace is like handmade armor, like in wood, but a mini wood, a mini armor.
And she, looks at it, it's like, ooh, that could be worth a decent bit. And she's like, sort of, squinting at it.
Mm, my father raised me alone, and even if I did ask him who was my mother, she never answered me. Never like looked me in the eyes when I told him. So I guess that something happened when I was born, or before that I was born, and uh, with all the bridge that I had, that I didn't know my mother, or even what she was. That's how I entered the pit fighting to let my rage out of me, learn some experience.
Good way to vent your aggression, I suppose. If it makes you feel any better, though, I suppose it doesn't. I never knew my father either. None of the kids did.
Mm,
Mother was a bit given with her gifts.
nice. With then there was like some month I was in a pit fighting. There was a band of outlaw and thief. They hired me to protect them, to be their bodyguard, and I was good at my job, even if sometimes I did some dumb thing. That's why I got the nickname Ironhead, because whatever I wish actually do, I keep that in mind, and even if it's bad or good, dumb or genius, if that's what I need to do, well, I'm doing it. And when the years passed, I got tired of it, like just doing some work that wouldn't lead me to nothing, like nothing to remember of what I did. That's why I left Marienburg to go into the Empire, and that's where the last captain saw me. And at first, he wasn't sure of what to think about me, but when I told him what happened, like what I lived, he knew like what it was to want to make something that people would remember even when after you're dead, or something to be proud of. So he offered me to join the Gutter Blade, and I accept. He wouldn't pledge, but like my axe to him, that it would be his shield and his sword when time needed, and I will never turn my back on him, even if we are outnumbered, or like, even if we fight a bigger foe, I will stay by the Gutter Blade.
So, yeah, the captain saw the best in all of us. Though I don't think me and Gutbub went as far as you did with the whole pledging the swords thing.
Well,
And if we was fighting a dragon, I can't guarantee I'd be next to you. No offense.
well, just saying a dragon. Okay, maybe I will back up. Not suicidal, but if there's a chance to win a fight, well, I will take my chance.
Like, oh yes, if it's fighting or dying, I'm choosing fighting. I don't plan to go out with a whimper.
So, did you add any children with the old bug, or?
Her eyes get wide and she starts laughing. It's like, oh no, no. No, young dwarf, I'm barren. We tried for some time, but Sigmar never blessed us with a little one.
Let me see.
And I'm 38 now, it's far too old for me. Gotta have him young. And she's, drinking her ale. Now, but me sister, though, me line will go on, as it is, me peasant line will go on. Me sister had her 12th child just last month. And she raises her cup.
Well, I will raise like my empty cup, like to her. I hope she's doing well, like she's not into financial trouble and all that.
She, sort of laughs at that. It's like, ha, no, she's some hussy for some nobles.
Mm.
She'll never want for nothing. She gets paid a pretty penny working at one of them whore houses.
Let me see.
May her soul rot in Moore's realm. She was always the pretty one. But I know something her customers don't. She's got wooden teeth.
Like Dracoon will start like busting a laugh, holding like his stomach.
And she's laughing. She says, and she paints them too. She gets them painted white, just so she can fool a bugger.
Oh, that's the best one I heard since a lot of time.
I bet you she takes them out, the dentures, leaves them on the side of the bed in the dark room, and they never know the difference.
Mm.
She's sitting there just drinking, shaking her head.
I wonder, like, what will happen with the Gutter Blade if we will going to recruit more people, or we're going to wait that we make a few contracts for starting to allow people in.
Oh
So
yeah.
we don't have much.
Yeah, she looks around the camp, and like the other player characters are just in their tents doing whatever, right? But there are some gutter blades hanging out outside, and she starts counting, almost like she's struggling, but she gets through it. She's like, I lost a good, decent portion of the company, including the captain and old Bub, and she shakes her head. Looking a bit light around here now.
Mm. And I fear today that would be empty if that day come. But I will fight to prevent that thing from happening.
I think that new captain's got a bit of pep in his step, so we'll see.
Yeah, a bit cold, and but know what to do and know how to get his men to respect him.
We'll see. I heard some grumbling, and this would be before that he gave them that pay. So there's a general air of concern around the camp with how this new captain will go, because they've been around. Everyone's been around Lando. You've been around Lando, but Lando's sort of a silent kind of sergeant, sort of like the sort of grimacing, you know. I mean, imagine a mercenary sergeant, right? Lando's been that way, and it was exemplified by how he handled everything after the battle, with just cold calculation, get all the shit, let's go.
Yeah,
So that's kind of what you expect. It's what you expect from a sergeant, but not necessarily from the captain. The captain was different. Captain was harsh, but he was warm when he needed to be. Lando just seems frigid. So yeah, everybody's kind of like, there's been nervous chatter when he's away, and when he's around, there's people just kind of look at him and keep to themselves. They're not sure about him yet.
do you have things that you want to ask me?
Oh, Dwarf, you've been pretty forthcoming with me already. I wouldn't mean to impose.
No, well, like you said, we're equal. So if you have something, even if it's harsh or offensive, I don't mind. If you want to know something, I will tell you.
Well, what are you gonna do after you finish with the company? Are you just gonna stay here till you die?
Well, I think like I'm gonna stay with the gutter blade until it's crumbled, or if its name get erased. Because I don't have many other things to do. We think the gutter blade took me when I was needed of work and at home. It's like, for me, it's like life debt to them. And if we can like remember the death of the old captain, it's to make his dream come true, and that continue what you've done to to make the gutter blade into I know mercenary deal.
She shakes her head. He's a noble goal, dwarf, but I don't know. I think I'm sticking around for two things and two things only.
You know what for?
Well, one, I'm gonna stick around until I see that bitch Margaret die. She just, has a very malicious-looking smile at that. And two, I'll probably start up my own farm. Saw old Gutbub do it enough. A good big farm like that bugger we're working for has. Big mansion. I want to live good. I want to have farm hands getting me crops for me. She's like, sort of like, making like that sort of look where you're like daydreaming kind of thing, and she's like got her eyes closed thinking about, oh, that would be the life. Living like them noble pansies. Ain't not got a care in the world, do they?
No. What they don't have and us do, it's we know how to take care of us, even in troubled time. If them they will be ruined tomorrow, they will know what to do. They will be in panic.
I expect that shower fella can't even put his pants on by himself now. But no, I want to live that life. The easy one. Supposing we'll see how it goes, though. Though I'll settle for watching Margaret die. He spits on the ground. Noble bitch.
Even if she treat me like shit, like if I'm nobody, she's still part of the gutter blade. So if I have to take it for her, I will do.
Oh, well, she seemed like she could handle herself well enough. Though her tongue is something to be desired. I suppose that would depend on who's the receiving end of it. And she sort of winks at that one. Sort of implying Margaret might be a sleut.
Or you know, she could be plenty of things, but we will see what she will do and be in the future.
She raises her glass. Here's hoping it's a corpse. And drinks. And they do not like each other. Like, even before Marguerite said what she said about Gutbub, she's... Margo has not been a fan. A lot of people have sort of been icy with Marguerite because, that's how Marguerite acts all the time.
Yeah.
So...
Maybe you should rest a bit. That would do you good.
She yawns like, I supposing you're right. She finishes her drink and...
Maybe tomorrow before we leave camp, spar again.
I'd like that, Master Dwarf. And she just sort of pats you on the shoulder. And says, I appreciate you doing what you're doing, Draken. I'm a tough old hag, but it's nice of you to care. Not many others seemed to when Bub died.
Oh, this all even if it's not seems so, but was a friend for me, like, and a drinking companion. And for a dwarf to have a drinking companion, it's like to have a best friend to that, that I could share my story with. And now that he's dead, it's a part of me like died with him, and I wonder how and what will happen to that if I will lose a part of myself or do more dumb thing.
Hi, dwarf. Hi, Draken. I wonder much the same myself. And she says, well, if I'm up tomorrow morning in time, I would love to spot again. But
Hmm?
uh, I will leave you to your drink, dwarf. And she sort of like half-ass bows, just in a kind of a joking way, and bids you good eve and starts heading towards her tent.
Me, I will look at all the rest of the Gutta Blade, well, mercenary, and are they like looking at each other, or some is looking at me?
The gutter blades, they're pretty much keeping to themselves. I mean, you see a couple of them, sort of sharpening swords. Other ones are just drinking with one another. I've only got 3 pictures here, but there are like a couple groups of guys around that are just kind of, hanging out and having discussions. And I mean, this is only like a day or two after what happened, so it's kind of a somber mood. But there are still people like trading stories and shit around.
Oh, Dragoon will stand up and take his flail and put a shield on his back in case, and he will start to make his way out of the camp to, and he will raise his voice for that everyone can hear, and he will say, "Don't drink all the hell, because if one of you finish the barrel, you will face me, okay? You know I can work with my hell." In a joking manner.
And then you get a bunch of nervous laughs at that one. It's like, yeah, because they're kind of not fearful of dwarves, but wary.
And I will just walk around the outside the camp, see if there is like any trace of people that spy us, or if there is like thing that we could have missed around the camp.
All right, roll me a search.
One day I will remember my sword. Oh,
Oh, um, so you don't really find a whole lot, but you do find some tracks that look human. But they're very old looking. Like you don't know a whole lot about tracks, but very old looking. But they do look like they overlook the camp, and they do look like they've been here. You know, they were here around the time you guys started to set up, and it's one pair of very large footsteps. Like we're not talking big footsteps, but it's like these are a man's footprints, but it's a big man. Like they're huge footprints.
oh, I will look back at the camp, and I will like place myself beside the footprint and see like what what the man could have seen from the camp.
Yeah, so from where you're standing, not a whole lot of the camp is plain in view, but there are 2 tents that you recognize because of the various like accoutrements and things like that that are on the outside of them. There are 2 tents you recognize. One is Marguerite's, and the other one is Lando's, and those are the 2 most clear tents in view.
Well, I will try follow the footstep at least to see if the man that came here left something behind.
Do you have follow trail?
Nope.
I don't even think you can. I think it's an auto fail, so
Well, it's what is like the carrot for
I believe it is. I think it's int. You can check and see. I think it's int.
So it's my end,
It's
but
half your int,
my
yeah. So it would be your half your int would be, I think you round down, so 15 because you have 31 int.
you know, like I try to follow the footstep, but
Nah.
it's like in
It's like some leaves and stuff like that. Just like, it's like one part of it that is like in the woods. There's just a bunch of leaves on the ground, and so there's some crumpled leaves and stuff, but there's crumpled leaves all around because animals are out here. So you just kind of lose it there.
is there like a lake near the camp or a river?
Yeah, that's the river Teufel.
Mm.
You guys are sticking to the river when you move because that brings you down to Grunberg for sure.
Well, let's stay a bit like away from the camp to and make my way near the lake, and I would put like my flail down and start to wash my face, and if there is someone like still in the forest, maybe we will try to do something since I appear like defenseless.
I mean, you go ahead and you wash your face. You kind of hang out there and then do whatever you're doing next to the river for a little while. I feel like it's been probably 30, 40 minutes or so. I mean, you're not perfect with time, but it's been a while and nothing. It's just you there.
Mm. Well, I would take my flail back and do well, to around the camp one more time to see there's other thing that would have happened beside the footprint.
No, you don't really see anything. It's just the footprints, and I mean, you think that some of the gutter blades have turned one of the outer walls into a makeshift restroom for the time being, and privy. So, I mean, other than those two things.
Well, I would look back at the footprint and I would try to follow them one more time.
Uh,
Well, I will do my fortune point. No, no, okay. No, like I try to follow the footstep one more time, and I got lost again with all the footstep of the animal and
yeah,
everything coming.
it's just hard to track it. It's because it's just all leaves and everything. It just really covers the ground well.
Mm. Mm.
But you are pretty sure that somebody was watching you guys set up camp.
Mm.
So,
Then I will like raise my eyes to look around the forest and to see if there's any head like popping out or any like strange sound. And if there's nothing, I will make my way back to the camp.
yeah, you don't see anything at all. It's just your standard forest stuff. Some birds chirping and just animals making noise. So yeah, you do that and then head back and
Mm. And like I will want to see one of the mercenary, and I will like warn them that if the captain show up, tell them that there was like some footprint outside the camp that I didn't view is Stan and Margaret. Then
one of the gutter blades that's nearest to you is like, I'll let him know when he comes out. No problem.
and try to stand on your guard. There is some arrow can fly from anywhere.
He's like looking around. Oh yeah, we're always ready. And he's taking a drink from a flask after he says it.
Then I will like start to make my way back to my the more that I can.
All right. Um, so are you going to commit to training Margo just on a weekly basis, pretty much at this point?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have it to where it takes um, a month total of training to increase statistics, and this is statistics within their combat statistics within their advanced scheme. So 32 days, basically. Every 32 days, if you commit to training and not doing other actions mainly, um, then you will improve their characteristics. But the way it works is a successful roll on. Let's find one. I'm thinking it'll just be the weapon skill or whatever skill you're trying to train them in will be. You had to make a successful roll every week to do it, and you had to have X amount of successes before. So for doing this during your scene, I'm going to give one automatic success. So she's already 1/4 of the way to improving. I'm thinking weapon skill is what you would want to improve on her by training with her. So she's already 1/4 of the way. Um, for the next next 3 in-game weeks, you'll need to do this again whenever you have downtime in camp instead of doing other actions. But you would roll your weapon skill, and if you succeed, then that's another step forward. And with 4 successes, no matter how long it takes, she will eventually improve with training. So that's how I would be training.
Yeah, well, that's fine by me.
But yeah, I'll mark one automatic success, and I'll mark it in her bio also that you're training her. So that we know.
If you have like anything else prepared for Raccoon, I think it would be it for this game.
I think that's it. So I'll go ahead and end the recording here.